engine we adore is a really useful engine, you know. 'Cause the Pet Controller, he told him so. Now he's got a punchline to call his very own. He's the really useful engine we adore. He's the one. He's the number one. Thomas the Tank Engine. He's the really useful engine we adore.
One day at the brown turntable, Sir Topham was giving all the engines their jobs. Sir Topham Hatt looked at Molly first. "Molly," he said, "your job today is to work at the soda china clay pits. Why don't you deliver some empty freight cars there?" "Yes, sir," replied Molly excitedly. "I've never been there before, but I think I'll like it." But Edward wasn't so sure. "Molly," he said cautiously, "once you get to the soda china clay pits, you better be aware of Bill and Ben." "Bill and Ben?" asked Molly. She was confused. "Who are they?" "They're twin tank engines who'll work at the end of Edward's branch line at the soda china clay pits," replied Boko. "And they can be nothing but trouble." "Then I'll show Bill and Ben how to use good manners," replied Molly. "Don't say Boko and I didn't warn you." As Molly entered Knapford Yard to collect his train, just then Bill and Ben came zooming in right behind Donald and Douglas and right in front of Duck. "So those two are Bill and Ben," said Molly. "Indeed they are," said Thomas, who was organizing Molly's train. "Those two are nothing but trouble," huffed Duck. "They cut right in front of me." "And they woke us up from our naps," added Donald. "And that's why I'll be teaching Bill and Ben how to be really good engines," replied Molly. "You can try," said Thomas, "but it won't be easy though, because they can be quite a handful." Molly rolled her eyes and puffed away to get her trucks. Molly soon arrived at Walford Station, and she immediately got lost. She could see Caitlin not too far away. "Excuse me," she asked, "but where is the clay pits from here?" "Oh, it's on the right track through the docks," replied Caitlin. "Thanks, Caitlin. See you around." And Molly continued her way on the right track through the docks. As Molly arrived at the clay pits, Bill and Ben raced in right in front of her. "Whoa," she cried. "Bill, Ben, slow down there." "Sorry about that," said Timothy. "Bill and Ben are always like that. Are you okay, though?" "Oh, yes, I'm fine, thank you," chuckled Molly. Just then, Byron, the bulldozer, came by, shoving rock and rubble with his giant blade. Dust billowed into the air, including all over Molly. "Oops, my bad," said Byron. "It's okay," chuckled Molly. "A bit of dust never hurts anyone." A few minutes later, as Molly got to work at the soda china clay pits, and she was about to get her trucks filled up by Ned, Bill and Ben popped up behind her. "Move out of the way," shouted Ben, and he and Ben blew their whistles angrily at Molly. Molly jumped and she shot forward, bumping her trucks into the buffers. "Patience, Bill and Ben," she shouted. "Sorry," replied Bill, "but we have no time to wait." "Yeah," agreed Ben. "We need to get going." And Bill and Ben puffed away laughing. "Boko and Edward are right," murmured Molly. "Bill and Ben are troublesome, and they are quite a handful." That night, as all the other engines were snoozing, Molly could hardly sleep. She was still cross about Bill and Ben for what they did to her. Then she had an idea. The next day, Molly explained her plan she came up with last night to Byron, Alfie, and Ned, as a goods train was ready to be taken to Wellsport Station. "You got it," replied Alfie. I'll tell the freight cars about this. And Byron, you will tell Bill and Ben to take the train. Don't worry, Alfie, replied Byron. I won't let you and Molly down. As Alfie told the freight cars about Molly's plan, Byron told Bill and Ben about taking the goods train to Wellsworth. The twins agreed and coupled up. The twins blew their whistles very loudly as they pulled the train out of the clay pits. That'll teach them, chuckled Molly. It sure will, agreed Byron. Bill and Ben puffed through the docks, and as they neared Wellsworth Station, the truck saw a chance and began to push against each other. Meanwhile, Boko and James were at Wellsworth Station talking to each other as Bill and Ben came around a bend and crashed right into Boko's train, and the freight cars toppled behind. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it was a terrible mess. Boko's back wheel had came derailed during the crash, and one of the freight cars had hit one of James's coaches, damaging a bit. The passengers couldn't believe what they just saw. Boko was furious about this. Bill, Ben, he shouted, slow down there, will ya? And mind my shiny red paintwork and my beautiful coaches, added James. Help send around the Sydney brought a breakdown train to help clean up the mess. And so did Sir Topham Hatt. Bill and Ben, what are you two doing here? You two are supposed to be working at the clay pits. Not taking these freight cars here to Wellsworth. We're sorry, sir, replied Ben. But we can explain. Oh, save it, you two. For your punishment, you'll be working in Vickerstown for a couple of days. Bill and Ben were upset, but there was nothing they can do. That definitely showed them. That'll show Bill and Ben not to mess with me, and Molly was right. A couple of days later, Bill and Ben never tried to bother Molly anymore, or even talk to her. Instead, they say nothing.